Court hearing is underway, all in an effort to try to remove Mayor LaToya Cantrell from office. Attorneys for the recall effort claim tens of thousands of dead or inactive voters are listed on the Orleans Parish voter rolls. WDSU anchor Travers Mackel is live at the court hearing with the very latest. Travers, what can you tell us about what's happening inside the courtroom?
Yeah, a lot going on. Let me give you the very latest. First off, this hearing is going to move forward. For the last 2 hours, Judge Jennifer Medley has been inside this building dealing with a lot of legal technicality type issues. There were motions filed by both parties to try to get the venue changed, saying that the Secretary of State is in Baton Rouge, therefore this should be filed there. She ruled against that. Then the Registrar of Voters filed a motion saying that the mandamus or the petition was too vague, therefore it should be tossed out. The judge ruled against that. In a nutshell, Daryl, she has ruled pretty much in favor of the recall organizers on every motion. Now they took a 15-minute break and they're going to get to the merits of this case. And as you just said, what recall organizers were saying is that the Registrar of Voters, in a nutshell, didn't do her job. They're alleging that she didn't strike more than 30,000 dead or inactive voters from the roll, and that is critically important because that will lower the threshold of signatures for the recall organizers who had to turn all those signatures in last week. So therefore, they are moving forward. Recall organizers and their legal team tell us they plan on calling about 5 witnesses. They say things should go into the early afternoon. As for the Secretary of State and Register, it's not known how long their legal case will go. We are hearing it could go into tonight or tomorrow. But once again, bottom line, everything is going to move forward after the judge in this case ruled in favor of recall organizers on all of these motions, essentially trying to get this matter tossed out. Daryl.
All right, Travers, I want you to stay with us right now because joining us now is Loyola University's law professor, Dan Ciolino. Now, Dane, I want to go ahead and get, you heard Travers, we just talked about. What are your thoughts so far about the situation and these court proceedings?
Well, actually, no surprise. I mean, lawyers are going to file these preliminary motions to have the court decline jurisdiction or venue. Now that these preliminary matters have been taken care of, venue is proper in Orleans Parish. They've, after all, sued the Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters. And the petition, as I've read it, is fairly clear what these challengers are contesting. So that all having been resolved, now we're going to get to the merits of the lawsuit this afternoon to see whether or not the Registrar of Voters is doing her job and whether the court should issue a mandamus order compelling her to do it.
Hey, Dane, this is Travers. I have a question for you. The lawyer for the organizers here, Laura Canizero Rodriguez, had a pretty pointed quote. She said, look, they didn't do their job. They were incompetent. They didn't strike people. Incompetent, in her words. They didn't strike people from the voter rolls here. And they're basically just telling the public, hey, we know the numbers are off, but you just have to accept it. And she said that is not acceptable to recall organizers. That's basically the crux of their case. What can the judge do if she rules in their favor?
Well, the judge can issue a mandamus order, which is essentially an order to a public official, compelling the public official to do her job. Also, a similar order could be issued to the Secretary of State, although it's clear that these recall organizers are targeting the Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters principally. The judge could also order attorney's fees, court costs, damages, and the most extreme relief that she could grant is removing the Registrar of Voters from office.
Now, Dane, you heard Travers talk about it a lot earlier, but when it comes down to the timing of this whole situation, I mean, the voting registrars has less than 20 days now to count these signatures. Is the timing on the side for the folks who want Cantrell recalled?
Well, mandamus matters are treated unlike regular civil lawsuits, which, of course, we all know can languish for months, if not years. These sort of lawsuits have to be tried by preference and in a summary manner. So the judge is taking this up fairly quickly. Remember, it was just last week, just days ago, that that all of the signatures were filed with the Registrar of Voters. And I would expect, it's only Monday today, that we're going to have an opinion from this judge within the next couple of days and certainly within the week.
Hey, Dane, inside this courtroom today, I know a lot of legalese here, but just to break it down for people in layman's terms, The lawyer for Kyle Ardoin, the Secretary of State, made the argument saying, look, even if they did reduce the number, you just can't strike 30,000 people or purge them off the voter rolls. There would be lawsuits. This would be a months-long legal battle. But the organizers for the recall said the key word legally here is active voters. They don't want anybody knocked off the rolls. They just want an accurate number of active voters. Does it come down to that word active? And I know it's a legal term, but in essence, is it how the judge interprets that to get the number?
Well, it does, and it's not terribly complicated. A lot of these inactive voters are dead, have moved out of Orleans Parish, and those aren't ambiguous situations. If somebody no longer lives in the parish and is no longer alive, they should be purged from the rolls, and that's what these organizers are trying to do.
All right, that's Loyola University law professor Dane Ciolino, and of course, anchor Travers Mackel on the ground giving us everything we need to know about the situation. Thank y'all so much for your information. And Travers, looking forward to your reports also coming up starting at 4 o'clock. Now, to stay up to date on this developing story, remember you can download the WDSU mobile app.